You might think you have seen brave women. I would venture to say you likely cannot imagine what girls in the tribes of Ethiopia are capable of doing for the sake of status and beauty. This is not about expensive cosmetics or plastic surgery. Here, the practices are far more significant. Consider this. A teenage girl has her lower lip pierced and a wooden plug is inserted. Each month, the plug is replaced with a larger one, progressively stretching the lip to a considerable size. The goal is to insert a clay disc that can reach up to 15 centimeters in diameter. This process is painful, impractical, and permanently alters one's appearance. But what is the purpose? For the Surma people, this is a primary criterion of beauty and wealth. The larger the disc, the higher the status of the woman, and the greater the bride wealth her family can request for marriage. Without it, she might not be considered for marriage at all. This presents a complex dilemma: to alter one's form fundamentally to become desirable. The young women undertake this practice voluntarily. They believe it is their path to a successful life. And this custom persists to this day. While in most parts of the world, men compete for the favor of a beautiful woman, in some Ethiopian tribes, it is the woman's attributes that determine the outcome.
Let us consider, for example, an ethnic group where a woman can choose to have several husbands simultaneously. This is polyandry, not polygyny. The reasons for this are straightforward. In harsh environmental conditions, survival favors those who are stronger and more capable of work. One woman becomes the center of a family unit, supported by several men as providers. They work, build, and hunt. She, in turn, manages the household resources, raises the children, and effectively serves as the head of the kinship group. Now, here is an aspect often omitted from travel guides. While Western societies debate the acceptability of nudity, within Ethiopian tribes, the female breast is neither concealed nor deliberately put on display. It is simply a part of the body. It is as natural and mundane a feature of daily life as one's hands or face. What may be considered a titillating detail to outsiders is, for them, a norm of life, entirely devoid of vulgar connotations. Girls and women go about with their breast uncovered, not for the purpose of allure, but simply because it is practical, especially in a hot climate. It is a matter of utility, not eroticism. However, there is another, deeper cultural layer to this. In some communities, the shape of the breast, its adornment with patterns or scars, functions as a distinct language understood by all members of the tribe.
These markings can indicate a woman's status, whether she is a mother or if she is married. This contrast becomes especially stark when tourists visit such villages. Their embarrassed glances and attempts to cover their cameras only highlight the chasm in perception. For the local people, their bodies are not something indecent, but a part of their identity and culture, which they do not intend to conceal. Such an open perspective on the body leads one to ponder what is truly natural and what is imposed by our own cultural norms. Now imagine a scene: the blazing sun, scorching air, and a dense crowd gathered around a tall pole. At the center is a young man about to undergo an initiation rite by leaping over bulls. But the main protagonists in this ritual are not the men. They are the girls of the Hamar tribe who step forward with a request that would startle any unprepared observer. They beg their male tribesmen to whip them. Yes, you heard correctly. The girls voluntarily submit to a severe whipping with flexible rods. The blows are delivered with such force that they immediately cause bloody lacerations and scars that will remain for a lifetime.
To an outside observer, this may appear to be an act of madness or savage violence. However, for Hamar women, it is the ultimate proof of love and devotion. This is how it functions. Through this act, a young woman demonstrates her support for the youth undergoing the initiation rite. The more scars she receives, the stronger her attachment to him and his family is considered to be. Yet, there is also a personal calculation involved. These scars are not merely marks. They are her social capital, a public demonstration of courage and endurance. After this, she is not just a woman. She is a warrior who has proven her strength of spirit. Her status within the tribe increases significantly, and she becomes a much more desirable bride. The most paradoxical aspect is that during the ritual, the girls do not cry out in pain. On the contrary, they smile, encourage one another, and sing ritual songs. They are proud of what they are enduring. This is voluntary suffering that leads to respect and honor. Such a ritual turns our conventional notions of love and devotion on their head. We give flowers and rings. They offer blood and scars. What truly proves the greater strength of feeling? Beautiful words or the willingness to endure pain for a loved one?
This is perhaps the most forbidden and taboo ritual, one not written about in guidebooks or discussed by tour guides. It concerns the initiation rites that every girl in remote Ethiopian tribes must undergo to become a full-fledged woman. This is not merely a celebration with dancing. It is a harsh and often severe transition into adulthood. It begins with isolation. The girl is taken to a special hut for several weeks, where entry is forbidden not only to men, but also to uninitiated women. There, under the guidance of an elder mentor, she is taught things never discussed with her before. She learns not only household management, but also the art of being a wife. There is no room for romance here. Everything is utterly practical and direct. One of the most shocking moments is the purification ritual. Its details are too explicit for widespread discussion, but its essence is to prepare the girl's body and spirit for future marriage and motherhood. These practices may seem barbaric to the outside world, but for them, it is as integrate a part of their culture as a graduation ball is to ours.
The initiation concludes with a symbolic act, after which the girl is considered ready for marriage. She is presented to the community, but now in her new status, her body adorned with intricate patterns, and her gaze making it clear that the child is gone. In her place is a woman who understands her strength and her duties. This rite of passage is the paramount life exam that determines her future destiny. Without it, she will not be able to marry and will be ostracized. This is severe, but it is the method by which traditions and identity have been preserved here for centuries. It is a system hidden from outsiders' eyes, where a woman is not demeaned, but is endowed with strength through trials that are difficult for us to even conceive. This is perhaps the most closed and enigmatic aspect of the lives of Ethiopian women. It concerns sacred dancers who participate in religious ceremonies. To an observer, their dance appears as an ecstatic trance, a path to communion with the divine. Their movements are refined over centuries, and their costumes are striking in their vibrancy. But behind this spiritual facade often lies a different, more earthly drama. These women are dedicated to temple service from childhood. They are taught not only ritual dances, but also the strict observance of vows. However, life introduces its own adjustments.
Many of them are young, beautiful, and, despite everything, yearn for ordinary human happiness, love, family, children. This is where the central conflict arises. Between rituals, away from the community's eyes, forbidden romances often ignite, sometimes with men from their own tribe, sometimes with outsiders who have dared to enter their world. These liaisons are meticulously concealed. Meetings are arranged in remote caves or under the cover of night somewhere outside the village. One misplaced glance, one accidental witness, and not only she, but her entire family would face disgrace. But why do they take such a risk? Because for many, this is the only way to feel not like an instrument of ritual, but a living woman with a right to personal feeling. Their lives are torn between duty and passion, between the divine and the human. And the most astonishing thing, this duality does not diminish them in the eyes of the community. On the contrary, rumors suggest that it is precisely these dancers who have known passion who attain the highest mastery in their art. Their dance becomes filled with genuine emotion, suffering, and a power that makes observers fall silent. It is said that through their earthly love, they achieve a deeper understanding of the divine.
Thus, their dance is not merely a set of movements, it is an entire life hidden from outsiders, where every line of the body can tell a story of a secret rendezvous, and the ecstasy can be an address not only to a god, but also to a beloved watching her from the crowd. Now, let us discuss what happens when ancient traditions come face to face with the digital era. This is perhaps the most vivid and relatable conflict unfolding right now in Ethiopian villages. Imagine a girl from the Mercy tribe. Her face and body are adorned with ritual scarification. Her lower lip holds a traditional clay plate, and in her hands is the latest model of a smartphone with a stable internet connection.
Just 10 years ago, her way of life would have been unchanged since birth. Today, however, her consciousness is torn between two universes. In one universe, there are the strict laws of the ancestors. A woman's value is determined by the size of her lip plate, the amount of cattle her family will receive for her marriage, and her ability to adhere to age-old rituals. Her future is predetermined: marriage, children, hard labor, and the veneration of spirits. But there is another universe, the flat, shiny, alluring screen of social media.
In this other universe, value is measured in likes, follower counts, and the virality of content. She sees bloggers from Addis Ababa wearing jeans, traveling, and earning their own money. This world offers her a completely different future, one her mother and grandmother could not have even conceived of. And this internal schism creates incredible tension. A girl might participate in an ancient ritual in the morning, covering her body with red ochre, and in the evening make a TikTok video about it, trying to explain the meaning of these actions to followers from Brazil or Russia. She is simultaneously a guardian of a fading culture and an active participant in global digital society. What will she ultimately choose? To remain in the village, marry a tribesman and continue her lineage? Or to run away to a big city, removing the clay plate and erasing the scars with lasers to try and become part of a different world? Right now, thousands of young women are facing this choice, and their decision will forever change the face of Ethiopia. They are the last generation to experience their culture in its pristine form, and the first to have a real chance to leave it. And this brings us to the most painful and hidden conflict, one rarely shown to tourists.
This addresses the system of early marriages and the price paid by girls whose futures are decided without their participation. In remote regions of Ethiopia, marriages arranged by agreement between families are still practiced. A girl at an early age may be promised to a man she has never seen. The goal is not the child's happiness, but economic benefit for the family: livestock, money, or strengthening ties between clans. Her body becomes a bargaining chip in this transaction. The most shocking aspect of this system is the preparation ritual. Before the wedding, the girl is taken to the future husband's household, where elder women conduct discussions with her. In reality, this often constitutes psychological pressure aimed at breaking her will and forcing her to accept her fate. She is told that resistance is meaningless and will bring harm to her family. But that is not all. There exists a barbaric tradition, spoken of only in whispers: female genital mutilation, or FGM. It is believed this will purify the girl and make her ready for marriage. This practice, officially banned, continues to exist in deep secrecy, costing the health and lives of thousands of girls. The true conflict lies in the silent, invisible resistance. While outwardly submitting, many of these girls harbor a profound internal protest. This is the most hidden drama, one that tourists never see: the struggle between centuries-old tradition and the innate human desire for freedom and self-determination. The irony lies in the fact that women, mothers and grandmothers, are often the main enforcers and guardians of these customs. They, who endured the same horror in their own childhood, now pass it on to the next generation, believing they are preserving tradition and securing the girl's future. However, a quiet revolution has already begun. Safe villages are emerging, where girls who have refused forced marriages can flee. They are provided shelter, education, and protection. Each such runaway is a quiet protest against a system that has traded in childhood for centuries. Their stories represent the slow but steady erosion of an ancient way of life that can no longer ignore a girl's right to choose. And now we come to the most potent symbol of this quiet revolution: the sanctuaries. These shelters, often hidden behind high walls in nondescript city districts, become the last hope for those who dared to escape. Consider Almaz. She is 15 years old. Just a month ago, she was being prepared for marriage to a 45-year-old widower from a neighboring village. The price? 20 cows and several rifles. One night, taking only a bag of dry bread and a photograph of her mother, she ran away. She hid in the mountains for 6 days until she was picked up by activists' car. Here, in these shelters, their lives begin anew. They are not just taught to read and write, they are taught that their life belongs to them. This is the new Ethiopia,
which is born not in palaces or government offices, but in these small, cramped rooms where girls who have said no finally learn to say, "I can."
Now her world is a room with 20 other runaways. Here, there are no lip plates or ritual scars. Here, there are textbooks, laptops, and posters about human rights on the walls. But here, an incredible strength is also born. They form new families, made of similar outcasts. They save money together and dream of opening their own cafe, staffed only by themselves. They are no longer victims. They are the landing party of a quiet revolution that is slowly but surely shaking the foundations of millennia-old traditions. So, where is Ethiopia heading? The picture is as complex as the pattern on traditional Ethiopian fabric. On one hand, there is the powerful pressure of ancient traditions. On the other, the irreversible winds of change. In the cities, the changes are visible to the naked eye. More and more women are obtaining higher education and holding key positions in business and even politics. They wear business suits, drive cars, and openly voice their opinions. The government is passing laws that raise the age of marital consent and harshen punishments for violence. Progress seems inevitable. But just 100 kilometers from the capital, you find yourself in a different world. Here, time stands still. Great-grandmothers, mothers, and daughters live by age-old rules. The true transformation is happening not at the poles, but in the in-between spaces. It is in the eyes of a mercy girl who, after a ritual dance, checks her Instagram feed. It is in the mind of a university graduate from Addis Ababa who decides to return to her native village to open a school. It is in the law that exists on paper but has not yet reached the deep regions. Ethiopia's future will be determined by this dialogue, often silent, sometimes conflicted, between the traditional and the modern, between the community and the individual, between the past that pulls back and the future that beckons. And the main architects of this future will be those who, like Almaz and her friends, have learned to combine both within themselves.
A woman who earned a medical degree in Addis Ababa may return to her native village only to be expected to undergo a cleansing ritual or marry a stranger. Her education and achievements hold no weight here. Only her lineage and dowry matter. The most significant conflict today is not between men and women, but between generations of women. Mothers, raised within strict traditions, genuinely believe they are preparing their daughters for a safe and predictable life within the community. They feared that their daughters' freedom will lead to exile, poverty, and loneliness. So what do you think? Will Ethiopian women be able to alter the course of history and reconcile respect for traditions with the right to personal choice? Or will centuries-old customs prove stronger? Share your perspective in the comments. I am genuinely interested to hear your thoughts on this matter. And if this glimpse into another culture has given you pause, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. There are many more fascinating stories to come from the most secluded corners of our planet.